Coffee. Currently in London. I'm heading off to Washington. I've got to go to the airport in the next like half an hour or so. But I was saying this morning, I'm at a place called, what's it, Pret a Manger something. And whenever I travel, I would, by default, the first thing I do when I get to my hotel room is I go on Google and I say coffee shop close to me with Wi-Fi. And what I do then is the next morning I will go straight there as soon as they open, sit down, find a corner, get a cappuccino and do some work. And I find it truly productive for me to do work. And maybe it's the contrast of being in a place like this, in the middle of London, working on safaris and travel planning and wildlife photography and such, that makes it, maybe it's the contrast of themes that works, but I find it super creative. I find it, I focus more, but I think if you were to watch me from a distance, you would see I'm working, then I'm looking at people, then I'm working. But the amount of work I get done in these places is just absolutely phenomenal. Now, I think it comes back, I'm all about people. I mean, I haven't spoken about this much, but I've got an honors degree in sports psychology. It's what I studied way, way, way back. And I love people. I love people interactions and stuff. So I think for me, sitting in places like this, watching people, so I'm watching a couple of people, the people who work here that's sitting around, and you kind of think about their stories. And the more you think about their stories, your mind runs with it and you think, this is me, that's how I'm wired. So that guy sitting over there now, he's on his phone, and he's looking around, so he's a bit not really focused, looks a bit stressed. How and what could I do to make his life better, for example, to take him on a safari, on a trip? Or what would it do for me to break through to him and to share my story? Because I believe if I can share my story and what I do with him, that would add value to him. It's stuff like that. So the mind just kind of runs with it. I think it's the same reason, and this is going to sound very, very, very strange, I actually enjoy airports. I'm traveling today, so I'm going to go to the airport a little bit earlier. I go through, which is early is great for me because it's not as busy, and then find a coffee shop at the back and then sit and watch people. Because I'm sure you'd have noticed this, when people are at an airport, their emotions are almost heightened. If they're late for a plane, they are stressed, they're super stressed. If they're happy to see someone, they're super happy. So it's almost like an airport amplifies emotions, and I love watching that, it's great to see. Another random thought from this morning, this is my second cappuccino for the day, for the morning. This one was free, but let me tell you why. It's just being nice. And with my thoughts for the day, I just posted a new one out, but my thought for the day often revolves around just being nice and being kind, to the point where it surprises people. I had a thing a little while ago. I was flying from Los Angeles to, where was I flying? To New York. And I sat right in the back of the plane, and as I got to the back, there was an old lady who was struggling to get a bag overhead. So I said, do you mind if I help you? And she's like, cool. So I put her on the top, and then the air hostess came rushing over to me and said, did you just help that lady put her bag up in the top? And first I was like, oh fuck, what did I do something wrong now? And I'm like, yeah, why? She says, oh, that's amazing. I'm gonna buy you a drink later. On the plane, not like out on the plane. And I'm like, no, it's cool. And she came back 3 or 4 times to offer me the free drink. Eventually I took the whiskey because I like whiskey. But just the idea that people want to reward you for being nice. And that's the kind of thing that I think everybody should do. So what happened here this morning with my cappuccino is I came in early, I had a muffin and my first cappuccino, did some work, and then they gave me a tray. So I literally just got up, I took the tray, I threw the trash away, I went to the counter and I said to her, here's your tray, thank you, can I have another cappuccino? She was so amazed that I first of all asked her how she was doing this morning, and then I brought the tray back, and that was nice. She said, oh no, this one's on the house. So you look at her and you think, why? And she says, no, just thank you for being nice. Her words, it's like, wow, man. I don't think we should be rewarded for being nice. I think it should just be. Anyway, I'm gonna finish this and then head to the airport. Here we go, travel day starts now. Hey, hello. So since we spoke this morning, things have changed a bit. I'm now not just in a different city, but in a different country. Yeah, it's been a travel day, kind of a shitty flight for some reason. It's just, I normally do evening flights. This day flight thing really sucked. Couldn't sleep. But I'm now in Washington, D.C. Let me show you. There's, I literally just got to the hotel, so I need to go find food, pretty hungry. But there's a very upset lady over here, and she's been chanting and screaming and shouting for a while. Let me tell you why. Watch. So she's over here, and apparently she's been here for a while, and I think she's complaining about... That's the White House right there. So I'm not going to get into politics here because that's just a whole different discussion, but it's pretty cool. I mean, to see and to be, it's actually quite nice. Watch this. Photographic mind for a while. So if you look at that, see the sky above? The sky is what's going to make that image come alive. Anyway, so she's singing again. Watch. Let me show you a little bit. Watch. She's very, very upset. Let me show you. Okay, so the song was fake president, fake crisis, whatever, but she's wearing a dinosaur suit, so I'm not so sure how serious we're going to take her. Anyway, so what's happening is I'm going to do a quick Q&A for you, and then I just had a chat to Marlon. Marlon just arrived in New York. I'm in Washington now. We're going to both meet up when are we meeting up? About 4 days from now in San Francisco. Al's coming out to meet us. I'll be chatting to the guys there as well. And yeah, just it feels like I've been away from home for fucking 2 weeks already, but it's literally only been, I think, like 4 or 5 days. It's very strange. Time really goes. But for now, I'm gonna quickly just head to the hotel, just grab something, one little errand to run, get something to eat, and then we will. Then I'm gonna do a quick Q&A, which I asked for on Instagram, just to kind of wrap things up. Anyway, during the next couple of days, we're sharing more from here. Maybe the crazy dinosaur lady as well. But yeah, Washington, here we go. Step 2 of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of this trip. For now, back to the hotel. Right, gotta take my shoes off. Let me talk. Now, I was gonna go straight into just a Q&A here, but something happened again tonight, which makes me question people. So, I ran my errands, like I said, gonna get a few things, pick something up, and on the way back, looking for places just to have a quiet dinner, because London's been crazy, and from tomorrow I've got meetings and stuff here again, so I thought let me just chill out tonight. Next to the hotel there's this little restaurant, nice little restaurant. So I go in, table for one, very romantic. I sit down and have my glass of wine, and I've got my glass of wine, and I'm just about to get dinner, and the waitress comes over very sheepishly saying, listen, can she please move me, because there's a big table and apparently there's a book and this, that. Now, it wasn't even a question. It's like, okay, cool. And later on she comes over and she keeps on saying thank you, thank you, thank you all the time. And later on she comes over as I get my bill, And she says to me, "Oh no, thank you so much just for being kind." And she gives me a glass of see how tired I am, a glass of wine on the house. Now, look, it was a very nice glass of wine, make no mistake, but it makes me wonder about people. Are people that horrible and that inconsiderate that something that in my mind I'm thinking this is just normal, this is how it works, that it should be rewarded? I mean, how are people acting out there? I don't know. And I think from a travel, let's jump to travel here for a moment. For me, travel, when I travel, I'm even nicer, if that makes sense, with people that I interact with, because I'm in their country. They have their ways of doing things. And in Africa, this is particularly relevant. But from the moment you get to passport control, to waitresses, to check-in people at hotels, just be nice. And from the stuff I'm seeing, it doesn't seem that people are nice all the time. I don't know. It's just a weird thing to me that people think they have to reward you if you just do something, which in my mind is just common decency and manners and just being nice, because that should happen for all of us, shouldn't it? Shouldn't it? Anyway, yeah, so it's been a pretty good day. The flight, like I said, was a bit shitty, but I wanted to, and I was going to do this on Instagram TV as well, but I think I'm just going to dive straight in and just run some Q&As here at the end of this from a travel point of view. So I asked on my Instagram story what questions you have from a travel, from a wildlife photography, and so on point of view. So, in no particular order, I'm going to read and answer them back to back. Here we go. What can I do with my pictures? What are the options apart from earning 25 cents through stock? What do you want to do? Make prints, sell them, do the stock. Now, you can't complain about 25 cent stock sale, because I've got some clients who fund their safaris by doing those kind of stock sales. It's just about scale. What can and should you do with your images? I don't know. Print them. I'm all for giving your images away. I've said this in the past, that if you give your images away, at least you know someone's enjoying it. Pay it forward. That's one way to think about it. But add value. Give them to conservation bodies. Give them to photography schools. Give them away for free. Old age homes. Make prints. Give it to people for Christmas gifts. If you want to make money off it, then it's a whole different narrative, because then you need to see what's out there, and the market will then dictate what you can do with it. Just get as many people, I think, as possible to see your work. I think that's a pretty good start. Okay, I'm just trying to get back to my Instagram here without me locking my phone because I'm entering the password too many times. Who is your inspiration? Who made you pick up a camera and click away? Who is your inspiration? Made you pick up a camera and click away? I must be dead honest with you guys here. Most of my inspiration comes from outside of the photography and wildlife photography world. I often speak to some of my guys in the office, and then we talk about social media, branding and such. And the majority, if you were to take my Instagram feed and scroll through, you're going to probably find about 20% wildlife photography, and then other things, everything from fitness to CrossFit to politics to business to entrepreneurship to fashion, because I think that there's more value to be had looking for those crossing points of what worked in a different industry and then stealing it or borrowing it and molding it for myself. So I started taking pictures. Nobody made me do it. My grandfather used to do it many years ago, but there wasn't a photographer whose work I looked at and thought, fuck, I must do this. I knew about photography, but when I traveled, so it started, maybe at a purest form, it started as travel photography, specifically just to remember people and places. Photography wasn't the point. The memories was the point. And that's maybe something a lot of photographers can think of. But yeah, there was no one photographer whose work I looked at and thought, I need to do that. Think about this more. But it definitely, I think, inspiration for me comes from various different angles, industries, and so on and so forth. What is my favorite travel gear? Now, I would normally say, if we're talking photography specifically, it would probably be the smallest camera bag I can manage, but this just says travel. So for me, right now, is the thing that I'm filming on right here, the Osmo Pocket, which makes vlogging like this super easy. The quality is insane, the stability. So I'm going to go with favorite travel gear right now is an Osmo Pocket. Other than that, hang on, I'll show you. Where is it? Other than that, if I can find it, is a proper pair of Timberland boots. They're waterproof, they're amazing, they go everywhere, they're comfortable, and they're just awesome. So either my Timberland boots or the Osmo Pocket on which I'm speaking to you guys right now. When will you be planning trips to the Italian Alps? Plenty of hidden wildlife to photograph. Now, I must be dead honest with you, who asked this. Guide like Bruno. I have never even considered that as a destination, although I'm sure it's amazing. The one thing that bothers me is that the wildlife's hidden. Because hidden, difficult to, you know what I mean? I'm kidding. No, haven't even looked at it. I think of Italy as great food, good wine, and pretty landscapes, but yeah, maybe I'll scratch into it, but nothing as of yet. Callum asked, when are you coming to Cape Town again? Callum, I have absolutely no idea right now. I've just arrived in Washington. In 3 days from now, I'm in San Francisco. A week later in Vegas. A couple of days later, Dallas. Then back to Johannesburg for only 2 nights. Then Masai Mara, Sabi Sands, Cape Town, Vic Falls. And then I'll look at Cape Town. But definitely coming back this year. There's a couple of things I want to do in Cape Town. And I'll be presenting at Zubots again end of this year. What is your favorite airport and why? I think it'll come back to which destination is the coolest and where I'm going. But on a purely airport scale, Changi Airport in Singapore is just... I spoke to someone on the transfer today about that. And Changi is just stupid, over the top, ridiculous. There's garden shops. It makes Schiphol look like a little African place. It is. Changi Airport in Singapore is just absolutely amazing. Any plans of organizing in India? I'm not personally doing anything in India yet. Johan's running one in a couple of weeks' time. Marlon did one last year. Johan's already running next year. So we do have trips running in India. I just haven't done any of them yet. Brendan says, thoughts on visual consistency in your Instagram feed. It looks nice, but I find it a bit limiting. Brendan, I think we can talk about this in Svalbard because you're coming with me to Svalbard. I think the best thing is reverse engineer. If you want to have a pretty feed that just looks pretty and that's the end goal, sweet, so be it. If you want to have a photography feed or an Instagram feed that takes you somewhere or gives you something or to sell something, then at the end of the day, fuck it. You know what? It is what it is. You need to ask yourself, are you going to impact people more by having strong individual pieces of content which we see when we swipe through, or do you think people are going to come to your bio first and then decide? I'm probably in the boat of look at the individual content and then every once in a while just make sure your feed's not falling apart. But I think individual content right now is better. Lisa Vikskro, I can't even say this. Viksho Grostad from Norway says, how are you? I'm fantastic. Thank you very much. Rainier B, if you couldn't live in Africa, what continent would you live on? Right here, USA, no brainer. I think the potential, the energy, the mindset, everything works for me. And yeah, that's 100%. How do you deal with clients that ask for guarantee of wildlife sightings? You just explain to them it's not possible. People who want to come on a safari and they want to say, ooh, I need to see this, just explain to them how nature works. The more you educate people, the more they understand. The more they understand, the easier your job becomes. And the more they understand, the better their experience will be. So it's not a difficult one. I also think with the amount of content that myself and the guys put out, very few people will find us, not dig deeper and see what it's about. So how do you deal with clients that ask for guarantees? You just educate them. It's what you should do. Fuller125 asks, podcast that I listen to, favorite people to follow on Insta. Podcast, I'm going to be brutally honest with you, very, very little. If I had to pick a few, Tim Ferriss once in a while, Andy Frisella's MFCEO project, Gary V's audio experience is pretty cool every once in a while. Brittany Crystal runs the Influencer podcast. Is it Influencer? Beyond Influential. So those are a couple, but not religiously, kind of when I travel. Favorite people to follow on Insta. Maybe I'm supposed to do a blog post on this or something, because there's more than just a few. But great question, Philip. Great question. What's your favorite park animal, bird from Africa? Park, amboseli. Animal, probably elephants. Bird, not an Egyptian goose. If you've been following for a while, you'll know what that's about. Izo_Fakuro, last one. What will you do the day it's going to be impossible to travel by plane because of fuel price? I'll read this again, hang on. What will you do the day it's going to be impossible to travel by plane because of fuel price? I'm not sure I understand the question. Are you meaning that fuel price is going to become so expensive that air tickets will get so expensive? Because in my mind, everything will kind of scale dramatically at the same time. But you play the cards you get dealt. So I'm not sure I get the question. What will you do the day it's going to be impossible to travel by plane because of fuel price? I'll still travel, whether I travel in Africa or with just... That's a very bizarre question, don't you think? What will you do the day it's going to be impossible to travel by plane because of fuel price? You're assuming it'll be impossible, I think, from your point of view. Maybe I'm in the position to do so. Maybe the fuel price goes up. I mean, a plane ticket now, for example, $500 becomes $600, but your income and the whole economy that surrounds it will also be the same. So unless something dramatic, like I'm talking dramatic, happens that spikes just jet fuel and pushes airline prices so far over the top that I can't travel, then I'll travel to places where I can either go by boat or by car, because travel is like a drug, unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you look at it. Okay, so that's just some Q&A from the Instagram feed. I might chop that bit off like that and put it on Instagram TV. We'll see how it goes. But for now, it is 21:57 in Washington, D.C. In London, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, so that's why I'm feeling a little bit tired. Just come from that time zone. So I'm going to crash now. Tomorrow morning, go for a run. And Washington for a couple of days. Meeting starts tomorrow. I don't think I have anything else for you guys. So I'll see you in the next episode. I'm going to crash. See you later. Bye.